This is the time of morning you try to squeeze out a poop before you go dive.
Who's going to get to the toilet first?
You don't want to get there after I've destroyed it.
Yeah, g'day guys, it's the Sunken Dutchman here. The plan for this adventure was to go do some shallow diving around the prom and see what we could find. Now, often when you tell people you're going to go diving at the prom, they instantly think, oh, I'm going to roll over some massive tuna or wrangle a huge cray, or if you're lucky, get onto some kingfish. But more often than not, that's not the case. Now, it does happen from time to time, but, you know, typically a dive, not just at the prom, but in Victoria, is a lot more quiet than that. I've left this clip in its entirety just to give you guys a bit of insight into what it's diving in Victoria. You know, it's often cold. The viz is more often than not pretty dirty. And there's not a plethora of fish. You know, we dive upwards of, 100 to 150 dives in a day. And sometimes you go a whole day without really seeing anything that you want to take. But we do it anyway because we love it. So in this dive here, you can see I've done a breathe up, I've hit the deck, and basically I'm just trying to be patient. I'm sort of crouched down, often I have my head down, and I periodically check up and look out into the distance, just trying not to be threatening. And yeah, just trying to be patient. More often than not, you might get some curious fish, like a little wrasse or something, swim past in front of you, like this one that's coming up. And you think to yourself, oh, surely something bigger is following that. Or surely there's something coming through, so I'll just persist and stay down. And we do. And more often than not, that is a typical dive of diving in Victoria. Cold and often not a lot of action, but we persist through it anyway because when it does happen, the reward feels a lot more. Now on this next dive, I've done my breathe up and I was diving in the same spot, and I had seen some sweep come in behind me. So I don't mind sweep, I do like eating them. They make great fish tacos. So yeah, dove back down, and you can see here I'm always having a cheeky look for a crayfish if there's any cracks in the vicinity, but I did spot a sweep on the previous dive, and I thought, oh, maybe I'll have another crack and get down low and see if they come in again. So I did, and I was just sort of waiting, just trying to pique its curiosity, get sort of as low as I can with the reef sort of starting to escalate above me. I noticed that there was a couple of sweep coming in, and I just thought I'd bide my time and try and pick out the biggest from the bunch. So yeah, weighed them up, and then eventually took my shot and yeah, landed what I thought was the biggest one of the bunch for my first fish of the day. Now, with any fish, I'm always trying to get that kill shot. One, you don't want the fish to suffer, but also I think it sort of preserves the eating quality of the meat. The fish doesn't go through any stress before it dies. But either way, even if you don't get a kill shot, you've probably watched 1,000 YouTube videos of spearfishing, but we try to brain and bleed the fish as quick as possible, and also gut the fish as well while we're out there. Now on this next little clip here, I had set a burley, and you can see there that this was me shooting my first fish off that burley. I saw a couple of nice blue throats and I thought, yep, I'll take one of those home with me for dinner. So yeah, managed to land this nice little blue throat off that burley. Now, when I'm setting the burleys, I sort of try and find a location that I can hide myself. So I set the burley sort of where the reef edge meets the sand, or in a gutter, somewhere where I can position myself high above the fish, and look down onto them, and preferably with the sun behind my back. So if the fish do look up, to the walls of the gutter, or they look up the reef, they basically see a silhouette. You're just a big black thing. The sun, you're backlit, and the sun is shining you out. So each time I did come back to this burley, each time I shot a fish, I left it for about 10-15 minutes, and then came back and saw there some more fish had entered the area. So each time picked the one I wanted, and then lined up and tried to stone them. Again, like I said before, always trying to stone the fish, put it out its misery. You don't ruin any of the fillet as well if you hit the fish in the head, so it preserves the eating quality of the meat. On this last time I hit the burley, I saw a sort of good sized leather jacket. Thought I'd take him. I don't mind eating leather jacket. A lot of people don't like it, but I do. This was sort of the last time I hit up that burley. The fish was sort of getting onto me, catching on that something wasn't right. So yeah, after I sort of took the third fish off it, I packed it up and went back to the boat. But the leather jacket, as with any fish, I bleed it and brain it. Bleeding a leather jacket, you just stick your knife through the gill slot there, and they are a little bit harder to brain because they've got a pretty tough head, but you can jam your knife in behind the eye and it sort of puts them to sleep pretty quick. And then, so after I'd hit up those fish on the burley, we moved to the outer side of the bay that we were diving in. And we were just sort of scouting some reef. This one dive here, breathed up, took a dive down, and then having a little cheeky look for crayfish. As always, I can't resist. Every time there's a crack, I sort of stick my head in it and have a look around, hoping to see a glimpse of red, but on this day there wasn't. It is a reef I'd like to visit again because the country was quite good for crayfish. The day that we were diving, this was closed season, so yeah, couldn't really take anything, even if we did find anything. So we were sort of focused on fish. I did notice this school of sweep come in, and again, I do like sort of eating sweep, but I had one in the bag already, and I had a couple of big blue throats as well as a leather jacket. So in terms of dinner, I was pretty much sorted. So at the end of the day, I just sort of enjoyed it, had a look around, and enjoyed the fish swimming around, and sort of took it all in.
So I'll show you guys how I fillet up each of the fish, the different types of fish they're caught. I'll probably just do film one fillet of each, but first up we'll do the blue throat. These guys have got pretty soft flesh, so I like to sit them overnight, let that flesh harden up. Also, I do like to scale these, you would have seen in the video, but I like to scale them just because they've got big scales, and if you're trying to fillet, they go everywhere and it's a nightmare. But anyway, I just make an incision right behind the pec fin and cut on an angle down towards the back behind the head. Try and keep as much of the meat as you can. Right, and then flip the knife around and go out under that pec fin. I spin my knife like that, and then I just use my knife, I let my knife rest on the backbone of that fish and just guide it down towards the tail. Right, you'll feel the bones as you go along. Once you've made that incision, you can see there that you've got plenty of space to get a knife in, and just trace along the bones. You can hear the knife like bead against them, and then just trace along. Try and do it so you can see in the camera until you get to that center spine. Yeah, there you go. You can see the meat releasing. Center spine. Once I get to the ribs, I just cut through the pin bones, a short, sharp little, like that. Should release it. And then, the other alternative is to actually cut over the rib bones, but it's sort of each to their own. But once you're on the other side of that spine, sort of angle the knife down, and that's when you're cutting down against the other side there. Trying to stay as close to the frame of the fish as you can, so you maintain as much meat as possible. I'm going to cut over these pin bones, so over these rib bones. There are some still attached. Last up, I'll cut through them. There you go. So that's one fillet. You got a few rib bones in there, and you got the row of pin bones up the middle. Before you cut them out, skin your fillet. I'm not a massive fan of the blue throat skin. Doesn't sort of crisp up too nicely. I suppose if you dry age the fish it would, but I haven't, so I'm just going to skin my fillets. Get your knife underneath the fillet, nice and close to the board, and just wiggle that skin back and forward. The blue throat skin is pretty easy to cut through, so you've got to make sure that you keep your knife nice and flat, but that's a nice skinless fillet there. So last thing to do for the fillet is cut out the pin bones. So to do that, you just feel where the last one is, round about there, and just make an incision on one side, trace them down to the bottom. They do have a slight curve, so make sure you get all of it, and then other side as well. And that's it, that's all that comes out. I'm going to just neaten that up, cut the rib bones out. If you got a cat or dog, they love that stuff. But yeah, that's a skinless, boneless blue throat fillet. Beautiful eating fish. Humble but beautiful. That's it. I just thought I'd show you this as well, but this is why I scale my fish in the water, particularly with blue throats. They've got some, for the size of fish they are, they've got some pretty big scales, and they make it a little bit more difficult to fillet. So I tend to scale my fish in the water. But every now and again, you'll get a mate, not mentioning any names, Paul, who will take your scaled fish from your esky and leave you with one with scales on. Thanks, bud. Next up, we'll do the sweep, another very easy fish to fillet, and pretty much the same method. I've left the scales on this because the scales are tiny, like a flathead or something like that. They're pretty easy to work around. So just behind the fin, down behind the head, out through the belly. Again, I've gutted and cleaned it and bled it all in the water, and then just slip your knife underneath, and then trace along that spine just there. Helps if you've got a sharp knife. all the way down to the tail. Once you've done that, you can sort of push the meat up and it creates a little slot there for you. Just get your knife in there and again trace right against the backbone. Right, keeping as nice and as close. You can see there, you can see the bones there. You got as much meat as possible. Just let your knife do the cutting. Right, no need to force anything. Once you get to the backbone, you just want to trace along the top, and then once you get to the other side, hard angle down and out to the other side. So you're maintaining again as much meat as you possibly can. Again there, if you look there, you can see all the bones each side, minimal meat left off, and then tracing up to the ribs, and then a little cut, and I go over the top of the ribs here. Sweep are very easy fish to fillet, and they're basically the ocean's fish taco, so very, very easy. You can see there all the ribs, minimal meat left on it, and that's that. And then again, like with your other ones, you can eat the skin on sweep. I don't love it, so I take mine off, but get nice and close and just pulling that skin, a little bit of a sawing motion. Again, make sure you've got a sharp knife, and whoops, that's it there. Skin, minimal meat left on the skin, and you've got a nice clean fillet. Beautiful. You can trim those bits off, which I will because it's paper thin. So again, with all of them, I find the pin bones go a fair way back in the sweep, so they end there. So, you know, an inch and a half from the tail. So I just cut them all out. Do have a little bit of a bloodline as well, so you can be pretty liberal with the whole cutting out of the pin bones. You can see there's a bit of a bloodline there, but nothing major, not like a salmon or a kingy or something like that, or tuna. Just trim it up. That's where the spear went through. But yeah, that's it, man. And very simple, easy fish to fillet. And lucky last is the leather jacket. A lot of people do not like eating these. A lot of people like eating them whole. I take the fillets off. It's not that hard. I reckon they're pretty good eating, to be honest. They are a little bit. There's a trick to filleting them, but I'll show you that now. First things first is to get the skin and the head off. So you got this big spine just behind the head here. You want to cut with your knife down behind that spine to roughly there, just before you enter the gut cavity, which is all here. After that, you can actually rip the head off. So it takes a little bit of effort to cut through, because you got to cut through the backbone. But basically what you're trying to do is get to that stage there. Once you're done there, you can actually pull the leather jacket's head off, and out comes all the guts too. So you got there a fillet and a head with the guts. It's gone. Once you got the guts out, if you actually just work your finger under the skin a bit. The other thing to look out for is a lot of the leather jacket species have these spines on the end of their tails. I don't know if you can see that, but just be careful of it. They're not too hectic. But yeah, I just get my thumb in or finger in and just try and work the skin free a bit, just to get some purchase on it. Do both sides. Once you get a little bit, or once you get it started, it's quite easy. So once you got a bit of purchase on it, you can actually grab it and basically peel it like a sock. One side done, and that is the other side done. Oop. That's the skin, just looks like leather. no scales or anything. But relatively easy to do. Actually cut that tail off. And there you got your leather jacket body. I'm going to clean that up. So, a little bit different to other fish in that they've got this row of bones up on the top and bottom fins. That's the top of the fish, that's the bottom of the fish. So you've got to start filleting from on the inside of those bones. I'll show you what I mean. So I just make an incision straight down on the inside of them, and you can feel where they are with your finger. It's hard to visualize, but see, I've made an insert there, and once you're in front of them, then you can sort of fillet them like any other fish, really. You just go down, work along the spine, work along the skeleton of that fish, and yeah, get nice and close. And then from the other side as well. So straight down in front of those bones here. And then once you hit the spine, or skeleton should I say, down and towards the centre. Once you hit the centre, you can come up over the top of the spine. It's a little bit bumpy, so just work your knife over the top of it. And then should be able to peel the last little bits. It should come right off like that. So that's one fillet there. Now they do have pin bones, so I'll show you how to get them out first. So feel the pin bones and come down on the side. They do have a little curve to them, so make sure you get your knife right to the bottom of those pin bones. That's that done, and then the other side. Pretty much come hard down. That's it. Give it a bit of a trim up. The cat. But that is a beautiful leather jacket fillet, skinless and boneless. Just as nice as any other fish. As Jake would say, fish is fish.